有夠人數啦。咁
Morning. It's about time to make a start. This is a subcommittee on proposed resolution under section 46 of the Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Ordinance. I'd like to invite the administration to brief us on the resolution before I throw the floor open for questions. Members, the amendment regulation is to provide a legal backing for the amendment. I'm going to take members through a PowerPoint presentation. The PowerPoint covers background, proposal, and legislative and implementation timetable. First off, background. Under the existing MPF system, the employers have the statutory responsibility to offer at least one MPF scheme for enrolling the employers and make mandatory contributions. And the employers may, at the sole discretion, make additional voluntary contributions for the employees. On the part of the employees, they may choose to invest among the constituent funds offered by the employer-chosen MPF scheme. The employees can change the constituent funds, but this is regulated by the law. To enhance the employer's ability to control their fund, we introduced the semi-portability in November 2012. Under this arrangement, the employee can choose to transfer the accrued benefits from the contribution account of the MPF scheme through a personal account of an MPF scheme of the employee's choice. Under the semi-portability scheme, it has been operating smoothly, and we have seen 1 billion cases of transfer, totaling $50 billion worth of accrued benefits. On the 1st of May, we have dispensed with the offsetting arrangement. For employees whose employment commences on or after May 1st, we don't need to ring-fence the accrued benefits derived from the employer's mandatory contribution. For employees whose employment commences before the 1st of May, or the existing employees, the employers can still offset the MPF against the LSP and SP, so there is still a need to ring-fence and keep track of the transfer of the employer mandatory contributions across different MPF schemes. In June last year, we have the MPFA introduced the eMPF, which will take over the administrative work, including the transfer of accrued benefits to pave the way for the implementation of full portability. I'm going to take members now through the full portability. On the basis of the semi-portability, we allow the employees to transfer once in a calendar year, to transfer from the contribution account the accrued benefits to a personal account of an MPF scheme. For new employees, i.e. those commencing employment from the 1st of May, they can transfer the accrued benefits to the personal account. For existing employees, i.e. those starting employment before the 1st of May this year, the accrued benefits will be transferred to a designated account. The full portability will enable the employees to control their account and to manage their investment strategy and to enhance competition and better quality of service. For the existing employees, it would involve a more complicated legislative amendment, and this will involve the creation of a brand new type of MPF account. So we are proposing that this be taken forward in 2 phases. This year, we will be amending the MPF schemes general regulation, that is the regulation before members, and that will provide us with the legal backing. Now, for the phase 2, it would involve more complicated legislative amendments, and we will get on with this next year. To implement full portability, it will not affect the statutory obligations and rights of employers and employees in terms of mandatory contribution level and the MPF offsetting arrangement and withdrawal of accrued benefits. Subject to this being approved, the amendment regulation will add a new section 148AA to the regulation and make corresponding textual amendments and consequential amendments to sections 148A and 153. The regulation will confer the power on the Secretary for Financial Services and Treasury to appoint a day as the commencement date. We conducted a month-long consultation. The labour sector and the employers are in support of the proposal. These would meet with the expectation of all the parties concerned, and we enhance the efficiency. It will minimize all the procedures. We have consulted the FA panel on June 2nd, and we got general support from members. Thank you. Thanks very much, Ms. Cole. Members who wish to speak, please press the button. I suggested 4 minutes be allotted to each member for the Q&A. Mr. Lam Chen Sing. Chairman, thank you. Thanks very much for letting me have a go first. I'm going to be chairing the antechamber meeting. We support this proposal. Before we had this proposal, I remember when I had discussions with the officials and the MPFA. For employees joining before the 1st of May, it would not be fair for them not to be able to join the full portability. You can imagine an employee starting commencement in April, just before the deadline, but they have been working for 30, 40 years, and they will not be able to enjoy the full portability. I fully appreciate that before the line, there would be a portion of the contribution that can be offset, but we are talking about minuscule amounts of money. But because of this little uncertainty, if we deny them full portability, it will not be fair at all. So this scheme has taken care of them because they can create a designated account. I am concerned about the cutoff line. Those joining before the cutoff time, when they will be able to have the full portability, 2026 or 2027. What is the timetable like? And we have to make sure that all employees will be able to enjoy the full portability. My second question is, now you are taking reference from the semi-portability. The full amount of accrued benefits can be transferred out for those who join the workforce, join or start the employment before the cutoff time. They will create a designated account. Would there be a transfer in 2 tranches, or would there be 2 designated accounts? A decade or so ago, when we started this semi-portability, we didn't have a lot of accrued benefits on the part of the employees, but so many years on, they have accrued benefits to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. They probably don't want to put everything into all the eggs in one basket. Maybe they can have 300,000 in one designated account and another 300,000 in another designated account. Yes, well, in terms of timetable, we will deal with the first phase of legislative work. That is those who start employment before 1st of May. Now that would be more straightforward. For the second phase, next year, the legislative work will commence. As per usual practice, we would be consulting the FA panel and would be taking the proposal to the council. We fully appreciate that the employees would like to see this implemented as soon as possible. We are thinking likewise as well. Before we pin down the date, there are some considerations to take account of. That the EMPFA, now there are trustees that are being onboarded onto the platform. We have to make sure that the platform is operating smoothly and all the MPF's accounts will be onboarded. So it would make it easier, more secure for us to get on with the second phase. And also, we need to mount publicity. During the consultation, we heard that some may not have a full grasp of the details, that they're not sure what category they fall into. So more work will be done. That we will do more publicity. And once this is out of the way, we will then pin down a date for the first and second phase. Now, for the first phase, we hope this will be implemented next year. As to the exact details, we'll wait and see. In between the first and second phases, there would not be too much of a gap. We'd like to get on with this as soon as possible. The member also asked whether the transfer can take place more than once. Now, members must be really familiar with this. Under the semi-portability scheme, we're all very used to this. Transfer can take place once a year. Now, when we design this, like this, this is because if transfer is taking place too frequently, then it will not be in the best interest of the participants. And if the participants will have to manage too many transfers of small amounts, it may not stand them in good stead. And the member asked that they don't want to put everything into one single account. Now, if the amount is transferred into the designated account, and when they strategize their investment, they can transfer the money to the personal account. Of course, we have to get the potential offsetting out of the way. Since the implementation of the semi-portability, we have been receiving views from the participants. The transfer of accrued benefits, we have not received a lot of requests for transfers to take place more than once a year. We will listen to further views. If there are such requests, we're prepared to consider them. Mr. Chen Yong. Chairman, thank you. I think this is well worth supporting because this represents an improvement. I am from the CPPCC sector. Now, the transfer will take place once a year. The frequency of transfer is a matter of technicality. That people may not be bothered about the transfer. That some people might regret having done the transfer. Perhaps you might wish to allow them a second chance. If they regret having done the transfer, they can revert or revert the transfer. I think the MPFA is very professional. We're no accountant, unlike Mr. Edmund Wong. Now we cannot cope with the numbers. Now for us laymen who are no good at numbers, perhaps you can give us some infographics to us, like before and after the cutoff time, what's going to happen to different participants. It would be easier for people to comprehend what is happening. This would avoid any misunderstanding on the part of the employers, that some employers might mistakenly do something that will not be beneficial to the employees. So if you give us some infographics, it would give us more details.
And we may not be able to solve this. We can see that in Singapore and other countries, well, the biggest benefit would be using the MPF to take out loans from the government. So if they want to take out loans, and if you want to resolve these problems, then I think the administration will be playing a very important role, because it can stabilize such arrangements. And therefore, if you can do this, then many people will have their concerns allayed, because you can also use the funds to make investments in infrastructure, and then you'll be able to get some returns. If that is the case, then I think that would also afford a better protection to both sides. Thank you. Well, with regard to the suggestion by Mr. Chen about publicity and education, thank you very much. We will go back and take it up. With regard to the number of transfers, I'll defer to the authority to answer the questions. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for your comments. Well, in coming up with the proposal, we have also considered in detail, well, because the semi-portability has been running very smoothly, and many members of the public are very familiar with this. And also for the once-a-year arrangement, well, that's been what we have been telling the public, that is a long-term investment, and therefore they should not be using that for short-term speculative activity, and therefore we think that confining that to once a year should be okay. And if they'd like to implement that, there would also be professional support. And on that premise, we believe that rolling out the full portability on the basis of this once a year arrangement would also be appropriate. But then we will also keep it under review, so that in terms of public education, if everything goes smoothly, then we will also monitor how many times we should permit scheme members to do the transfer. Thank you. Any further questions? Any further follow-up? Next, Mr. Ngan Men Yu. Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I'm concerned about the MPF, the EMPF, because recently my office has received a lot of complaints, because a lot of trustees have onboarded that platform, and they are also working on switching over to the new accounts. And if you open a page, it would take some time before you can actually log in. And then you will also have to get the support of the support team. And they've waited for some 2 weeks already, and still that has not been sorted out. So with such new platforms under the MPFA, we hope that you can have better support to ensure that for assistance sought by the employers and employees, there would be sufficient support. And yet the authority doesn't seem to have enough manpower to cope with this. So, well, what kind of arrangements will be provided by the authority or the EMPF to make sure that everything will go smoothly? And also, well, in the past, when the administration rolled out new schemes, different departments and stakeholders would also go to the MTR station to set up kiosks so that they'd be able to answer questions from the applicants and so on. That worked for the vaccination pass and so on. Now that you have the full portability, you have also rolled out the EMPF. So as far as the public is concerned, they have no idea as to what is going on, and yet they don't know how to deal with it. And if they want to approach you to get answers, they are also having difficulty. So you would have to make sure that even with good policies, you would also have to ensure that everybody will understand it properly, or else there would only be confusion. So I'd like to know what measures will be put in place to assist both employers and employees to sort out their problems. Thank you. Yes? Well, with regard to EMPF, well, there have been some concerns, and we are also very concerned about this. We have already asked the authority and also the EMPF to deal with that properly. We have already instructed the contractors of the EMPF to face up to all the complaints and inquiries that they have received so far. And the first step to do is to make sure that there would be sufficient manpower to deal with inquiries from the public. And if they encounter problems, there would also need to be support. So the contractor has already promised that they would be increasing their manpower gradually. Well, initially they only had about 1,000 or so staff, and now they have promised that they would be doubling that so that there would be over 2,000 staff members to support the public, so that when there are inquiries and also when they have difficulty registering their accounts, there would also be support or assistance immediately. With regard to publicity and education, yes, we fully agree with what you said. That is, well, the MPFA has rolled out many new initiatives, and we absolutely agree that we have to step up our publicity and education. And starting from the last few months, they've already started a new campaign. And as you can see on TV and MTR stations, you have already seen a lot of APIs. And also, when you go to government buildings and commercial premises, public toilets, and so on, you can see that the authority has been rolling out many publicity initiatives. We have also gone to government buildings to step up our publicity for 2 weeks now. And we are also encouraging the public to on board the EMPF, and there are also support centers set up throughout the territory, and therefore for those in need of help, they can also go to those centers to seek help. We have also instructed the contractor to make sure that, well, supposedly employers and employees may have need for technical support. They would also have to make sure that such support is readily available, and they would also have to arrange for staff to go to those offices so that there would be face-to-face support for people or employers who have difficulties. And also, if there are some practical difficulties in terms of the operation, we can see that some employers may have difficulties in operating the system, and the contractor has also set up the support hotlines to ensure that employers will have no difficulty in making contribution. So we can see that some effect has been seen. And for the major MPF schemes who have onboarded the platform, we can see that the inquiries or complaints have stabilized. There has been no further increase in terms of those complaints and inquiries. We will encourage our colleagues to do more to help. Well, I've met with different sectors, and they've also mentioned the problems as mentioned by the other member. So some 80% of the cleansing contractors have told us that they did not quite understand what the EMPF is all about, and we have many people who have to join the system, and we have approached the CEO, and he has arranged for meetings to be held with those with questions. So you said that the number of complaints has stabilized recently. I'm sure you have received a lot of comments and feedback already. It's not just about asking the contractor to do more. In fact, the contractor also has many agents to meet with different companies and members of the public, and therefore, if they are supposed to monitor the operation of the accounts, you would also have to make sure that they have the duty to explain things very clearly to scheme members, because I'm sure the agents have a lot of employees, and therefore they will have to make sure that they would reach out to all the scheme members one by one to ensure that they understand how the system works. So you will have to make sure that they do their jobs properly, or else these scheme members will just approach lawmakers for help. Next, Mr. Yu Park Leung. Chairman, I share your concerns and views. Well, for the MPF, whether it's the authority or the government or the employers or the employees, we all hope that management should be done properly, and investment would also achieve good returns, so that there would be protection after retirement, or else we will have a hard time after retirement. I think that's a sentiment shared by all of us. So we will have to step up publicity to ensure that people know how to use the EMPF, and I'm sure different chambers of commerce and sectors should organize their own publicity or briefing sessions and so on. With regard to the proposal of full portability, in the first phase, I don't think we have too many concerns because for semi-portability, it has been in place for some time, and now you have the cutoff date of 1st of May, and then for new employees, they can enjoy full portability. But then for those who were employed before the 1st of May, well, you can see that some employers of SMEs express anxieties that if the employer's contribution is also subject to full portability, and if they switch it out to high-risk investments, then if the market turns around, then there might be loss sustained to their investments, and as a result, they may not be able to pay for their retirement expenses. Then how can you make sure that employers do not have to worry about that? So has the authority or the Bureau done anything to explain things very clearly to the employers, or what measures are in place to ensure that employers would also be properly safeguarded? Well, as far as the tourism sector is concerned, many of the enterprises are SMEs or even micro enterprises, and they are already subject to a lot of monitoring under the legislation. So how can the law ensure that they would also have a better understanding of the MPF scheme? So I urge the administration to reach out to the tourism sector so that there can be better communication and understanding. Thank you. Well, I'll answer the last question first. That is the communication between the MPFA and the tourism sector. We'll go back to see what we can do. Well, after the implementation of full portability, does that mean that there would be higher chance that people might invest in the wrong investment portfolio? Well, in fact, there are different MPF schemes right now, and the trustee will also have to offer constituent funds with different level of risk to the scheme members. So even if these employees do not transfer their accrued benefits to a designated account, they would also have to consider whether or not they'd like to invest in high-risk investments or conservative investments. So even with full portability, in terms of investment risk, basically there should be no impact whatsoever, because whether it's Scheme A or Scheme B, employees will still be able to choose the scheme that they prefer. And of course, in the actual operation, well, sometimes employers and employees may not understand this very well, and therefore we will step up publicity to explain things better to them. So we will work harder to ensure that they have a better understanding. Well, to provide you with further information, well, the authority has already dealt with different offsetting arrangements. Well, we can see that by the time when they really have to settle the account, very rarely would there be difficulties. So employers can rest assured that full portability would not have any significant impact on the existing arrangements. Well, I think recently some people from the business sector also indicated to me that they had some concerns. That is, for the contribution made by the employers for their employees, there might be there might be $300,000, and then by the time when they really have to withdraw the accrued benefits, if they have invested in high-risk investments, there might be loss, and then when they have to pay out the loss service payment or severance pay, there might not be enough money in the account to settle those payments. Well, yesterday I also called up Mr. Chang, the CEO, on this. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, in fact, before the 30th of April this year, well, for the employees' part, they would decide as to where they would like to invest, and then for the employers' part, they would choose the funds. It can also be high, medium, or low risk investments. Well, that has been the case in the past. So in the future, the only difference is that, well, instead of having the employers making all the decisions, the employees will be choosing their own schemes and so on. So they will still be able to choose from different portfolios. So I think the trustees would be more or less the same. So in terms of the high, medium, or low risk constituent funds, they would be basically the same. So of course, the contractors will be making the decision.
So before the 30th of April, with the 5%, they can choose to go with company A, whereas the employer may go with company B, and the employer might invest in a higher risk investment. They would prefer lower risk, but in future, they will be bundled together. The investment will be put in the same investment, right? They'll be separated. If they are separated, then it would not make much of a difference compared with previous situation. So I don't think the employees would be terribly aggressive. So statistically, it seems okay so far. Any further points? If not, do we see the merit of having any public hearing, or should we just receive the submission in writing? Right, we don't need any public hearing. So the Secretariat will be advertising in the website to invite written submission regarding this amendment regulation. Any further points in terms of policies? If not, shall we embark on the clause-by-clause scrutiny? We work on the basis of the Chinese version, and the legal advisor will look into the English version. So let's stick with the marked up copy of the amendment regulation 1235/1/2425. So to facilitate the administration, please state the number on the top right-hand corner if you want to cite any paragraph. Chairman, thank you. Will members also refer to CP 21419/2025/1, and this paper states all the provisions there. The amendment regulation is to amend the general regulation CAP 485 for those starting employment after May 1st this year. The employee can choose to transfer the accrued benefits from the contribution account to a personal account of the MPF of their own choice. This would also amend CAP 485A. I'm going to be taking members through the amendments in detail. please refer to CB 11235 stroke 2025-1. The SFTS will publish a notice in the Gazette to commence the regulation. When all the administrative work and preparatory work is completed, like an upgrading of the MPF platform, once this is out of the way, then the FSTS will announce by notice in the Gazette the commencement date of the regulation. Comments? The second one is to amend Cap 485A. That's to provide the legal backing for the first phase of full portability. Any questions? No. Regulation 3. Please refer to pages 2 and 3 of the marked up copy. We add 148AA, transfer of accrued benefits to personal accounts, accrued benefits derived from mandatory contributions paid in respect of an employee by employer for current employment beginning on or after May 1st, 2025. There are 5 subclauses. The first one is this section applies to an employee in relation to an employment beginning on or after May 1st, 2025. As the DS said, the mandatory contribution on the part of the employer cannot be used to offset the SP and LSP. So this will not affect the responsibilities and benefits of the employers under this. Second, if any accrued benefits of an employee are held in a sub-account referred to in section 78(6)(a) within a master trust scheme or an industry scheme in respect of employment, the employee may, at any time during the employment, elect to have all such accrued benefits transferred to a personal account of the employee within the same registered scheme or a personal account of the employee within another registered account. Question? No. Subclause 3. If any accrued benefits of an employee are held in a sub-account referred to in section 78(6)(a) within an employer-sponsored scheme in respect of the employment, the employee may, at any time during the employment, elect to have all such accrued benefits transferred to a personal account within a master trust scheme or an industry scheme. Please carry on. Subclause 4, that's about the frequency of transfer. So an employee may make an election only once in every calendar year, make the transfer, and 4A is if the accrued benefits in the sub-account are to be transferred to a personal account in the same registered scheme, and the governing rules of the registered scheme provide that the employee may make the transfer more than once in every calendar year. And B, if the accrued benefits are to be transferred to a personal account in another registered scheme, and the governing rules of the registered scheme provide that the employee may make an election more than once in every calendar year, and the election is made accordingly. Mr. Chen, Cap 148, so more than once transfer. Basically, we are talking about only one transfer. Now, this may give rise to a misunderstanding. Now, here in this clause, it's talked about more than once. So will you explain to us under what circumstances will the employee be allowed one transfer, and under what circumstances would they be allowed more than one transfer? Well, I read a number of times, and I don't think I would be able to get to grips with the frequency. Can you explain a little bit more to facilitate our understanding? If I may, Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Chen. Simply put, transfer only once a year. But if the governing rules of the register scheme allows more than one transfer, then this would happen. But over the past 10 years or so, since we introduced the semi-portability, hardly ever do we have any scheme that allows more than one transfer. So basically, we're talking about one transfer per calendar year. By the time the full portability kicks in, basically, it would be one transfer per year. But if the trustee would like to enhance their competitive edge and allow more than one transfer per calendar year, that would be allowable under the law. But in most cases, in the vast majority of the cases, it would be once every calendar year. Mr. Chen, let me check my understanding. Under the law, it would be one transfer per year. But if the operator would like to allow more than one, it would be okay. But if basically it would be once a year, but subject to the governing rules, there would be more than one transfer. Is that my understanding? Yes, Mr. Fan. Yes, Mr. Chen's got a point there. It all depends on the trustee, whether they allow this to happen. Mr. Chen, I would suggest that more publicity should be made. Basically one transfer, but if the governing rules allow, then there would be more than one transfer. The vast majority would be 1 year, but I think you have to make it sufficiently clear to the scheme members, because people make it the misconception that they would be allowed only one transfer. In fact, there can be two. Yes, we follow up on Mr. Chen's point. Clause 5, Mr. Chairman, an election under subsection 2 or 3 becomes effective. Now for subsection 2A, 2B, there may be a bit of difference in terms of effective time. For 2A, when a written notice of election is given to a transferor or a trustee concerned, that's the time when this goes into effect. Now for 2B or 3, an employee is transferring the accrued benefits from a master trust scheme to another scheme, or from a employer-sponsored scheme to another scheme, then the effective time would be when a written notice of the election is given to the transferee account concerned. That's the time when this would go into effect. Please. Chairman, thank you. Amending Section 4, please refer to pages 2 and 3 of the marked up copy. And this is to amend Section 148 transfer of accrued benefits to a personal account. Accrued benefits derived from mandatory contributions paid by employer on behalf of the employee for current employment. So this is accrued benefits to a personal account. That's 148. We are broadening out the scope. We are narrowing down to the mandatory contribution, and this is to deal with the transfer of the accrued benefits. 148AA is to deal with the transfer of the mandatory contribution by the employer. 4.2, we are substituting for A, and this is also in line with the timing and the frequency of transfer. We believe that this is of a technical nature. This will not affect the legislative effect, and we're just making things clearer. please. Chairman. Section 5, please refer to page 5. This is to amend 153. We proposed under 1533, under 148A5A, we add 148AA5A to make sure that under 2A of 148AA, the employee chooses to transfer the accrued benefits from the master trust to the same, to a personal account of the same registered account, then within 30 days of receiving the notification, the accrued benefits will be transferred to the personal account of the employee under the same registered scheme. Mr. Chen.
Well, for working day, does it also include a public holiday? It's a working day. So is it the general way to draft it? Yes, under 148A, that's the way to draft it. Any further questions? Yes, please continue. So with regard to the amendment legislation, we have already completed the clause-by-clause examination. Okay, legal advisor, with regard to the amendment regulation, any further comments? Thank you, Chairman. We have not identified any legal or drafting issues with the amendment legislation. Thank you. All right, with regard to the amendment regulation, the administration has already withdrawn the notice for the resolution, and now that we have already completed the scrutiny of the amendment legislation, the administration is now free to give notice to the Secretariat of the LegCo so that we can resume the further stages of the legislative process now. So any questions? If not, then on the 17th of September, you're going to move the second reading of this. Yes, our plan is to do it on the 17th of September. That would also be subject to the announcement of the policy address by the Chief Executive. Subject to that, we will take it up with the Secretariat on the latest position. All right. So you will have to make sure that you will be giving no less than 12 days of notice. In other words, you will have to do so before the 2nd of September if you'd like to proceed with the later process of legislation. So if the timing has not changed, then on the 29th of August, I will be reporting on behalf of the subcommittee to the House on the position. And if you have any further amendments, then the deadline is to do it before the 10th of September 2025. So please make sure that you're aware of the deadline. Any further comments? If none, then the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.